we did it so well the last time. Might as well keep going. No, yeah, I mean, the hope is that it will be 1 week, and then we'll be back into it.
Hi, Mr. David.
Hello, good to see you. And that will be a fantastic thing, as if it's 1 week and then we're back into regularly scheduled programming. But if not, then not. Yeah. I mean, it's better to be safe than sorry. Yes, probably the right the right metaphor. Hey, Yet. Good to see you. Good to see you. All right. Now we're getting everybody, which is fantastic, and I get to push the magic button like that. All right, and like that. And I'm sure you've all been having other lessons, and it's all been exciting and doing it from home. You get to rest on the couch and do your lessons.
I miss this a lot.
I don't, but okay.
Yeah. All right. You had any lessons today already?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, nice hair.
Sounds fun.
No.
All right. All right. Okay. So what we're going to do, I've posted a couple of things to the classroom. Yeah, kind of explaining what we're going to do, hopefully. And one of the things that we're going to do is jump into our Nearpod, but not for very long. So you don't need to panic too much about that. So hello, good to see you. I'm going to do the share thing and do the sharing. And again, if the technology decides not to work, then that's okay. We will deal with it, and we just not to panic, sort of idea. Now it should be this code. If I've got this right, it should be this code, YT64B. Yet tries 64 ears. No, that doesn't work. Yet tries 64 books. Oh, there you go. Yet tries 64 books. That's a lot of books, Yet. And as per normal, the code is up here on the top left-hand side. Now we're going to skip through a couple, but we're going to get to a point where I'm going to ask you to explain what you know with regards to some of the different types of integration. So very quickly, if we move our way through, we learned about globalization, how it impacted on trade, advantages and disadvantages. So there was the first one. And the first one was a preferential trade agreement. The second one, which is coming up, is a free trade area. And the third one is a customs union. All right. Preferential trading area, free trading area, customs union. So I'm going to stop sharing. I'm going to come back to here. Hello, Jonathan. Preferential trading agreement, free trade area, customs union. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit the button to go silent, and then you fellas, I would like you to discuss what the difference between a preferential trade agreement is, a free trade area, and a customs union. All right, ready, set, go.
Wait, on here or?
I think on here.
Where did Mr. David go?
So, wait, so do we just like talk?
Is this what you guys learned last week?
Yeah.
No, we didn't know the difference, right? Oh my god.
No, because Nearpod right now has the fill in the blanks part for customers.
Yeah. No, I think we.
So, I think we did the Nearpod one.
So we need to compare what free trade union, customs union, and
I think we compare all of them, no?
what's what I don't know what all of them are actually.
The preferential trade agreement, and then monetary. Oh wait, no, that's not it. What is that? Oh, free trade area, customs union,
Mm.
and common market. I don't know. Oh my god.
Economic and monetary union.
Yes, and that.
Yes.
Okay, so you know that free trade union is the one that people agree to like trade free with each other, right? That's the basic one. Then customs union is the one where you have free trade unions only to certain areas. So you have like a huge like social group, and then you exclude other people, like EU.
The EU.
Share the same trade barriers, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
you share the same.
Through imports as well. Okay.
And then
Common market is everything but goods. No, but labor and capital as well, right?
everything of labor and capital is shared in the same market, so
Mm.
there's no tariffs, exchange rates, stuff.
Yeah.
Okay,
Cool.
I think we done. I think we did it.
cool. Wow, what a coincidence! Thomas has been listening.
Well done. Well done. Right. Now, you need to be able to explain the difference between them, know what they are, and give real life examples. So the classic examples that we have given, that we have discussed, and then also evaluating them, right? So that next step up was, this is what a preferential trade agreement is, this is what a free trade area is, that's one step up. What are the advantages of this as opposed to a disadvantage? Why might a country want to do it? Because, as we've seen, these countries are moving further and further towards an integration model. So they're getting closer and closer and closer together. Eventually, you're looking at unification, right? Eventually, you're looking at potentially a complete monetary union. Disadvantages. And you might end up creating something like the EU, right? You might end up creating something like the Eurozone, or just something similar where you've got a large number of countries, over 25 in some cases, all working together. So noting what they are and how they work is a really important thing. Right? So there's your customs common market. And again, the economic and monetary union, which was the one where they had the common currency. Did we discuss that the other day?
Yes.
Yes?
Yeah.
Good. All right. Now, disadvantages, as we said, you're going to lose control of your monetary policy. You're going to have your fiscal policy constrained by the rules of the actual union itself. You're going to lose the ability to manipulate your own exchange rate, should you wish to, in order to make macroeconomic policy objectives. So there might be there are some very real advantages, yeah, all right, to monetary union. But then there are also some very real disadvantages to monetary union. And because you are getting rid of your own currency, there's that loss of what we term sovereignty, the sovereign ruling, right, where you feel in control, right? Your currency, you're in control, right? And particularly for the UK, because they felt so empowered by their domestic currency that they just refused to join the monetary union. They didn't want to give up the pound. All right. Now, complete integration, the US and the future EU is a possible option. Now, higher level wise, here we go. Some new terms, high level. Did we do these the other day?
No.
Yes, no?
No.
Yes,
No.
no?
No.
Okay, right. The higher level topic here is just terminology, all right? There's a little bit of evaluating of them, but essentially it's just terminology. And all of you now, are now HL, so this is applying to everybody. And it's just two terms. It's the idea, it's one of those separate bullet points that just randomly appears in your syllabus. And this one is trade creation and trade diversion, which means that the examiner can and has done, particularly in the past, put specific questions up about trade creation and trade diversion. The other option would be for you to include the concepts in your discussions, all right? Trade creation, trade diversion, about integration. All right? So trade creation is where you're actually replacing the cheaper products with your other products, okay, that you get about because of the trading block. All right? So higher cost products are being replaced by cheaper imports because you're able to get those cheaper imports because of your trading block. All right? So therefore, economists tend to see that as being more efficient because of the cost allocation idea. Trade diversion is kind of not quite the opposite, but it has a negative effect. All right, what we assume, it has a negative effect, where you are replacing your lower cost imports with potentially higher cost imports because you are regulated to only trading within that trading block. So therefore, you're not allowed to get the cheaper dairy products from New Zealand. You have to get the dairy products from those within the European Union, for example. So those are two new concepts that are HL only, and therefore potentially could be an individual question, definition, explanation, maybe application based on the context of well, there's a strong link then to the economic development topic as well, because these two are going to play quite a significant role there, but you're not going to necessarily need to worry too much about that. But definitely in an analysis of an integration, if there is one, you would be expected to bring up trade creation and trade diversion. So what is the difference between the two?
David?
Yeah. Look.
Do you mind explaining the trade diversion again?
Yeah. The trade diversion is because you're locked into an agreement, like say the EU, where you are trading with those countries, the countries within the EU. So therefore, you've got a common external barrier on other countries. So the UK is a classic example because they used to have a lot of resources that they were able to buy in goods from other countries that now they can't buy, right? Because they have to buy within the EU, firstly, because of the rules.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
right.
and the classic one is the agricultural products, because lots of countries outside of the EU produce at lower cost agricultural products in particular than the countries within the EU, because the EU, it's very heavily subsidized. Right? So France with its dairy products, really heavily subsidized, for example, which means that you'd expect that to be a less efficient approach to international trade than if they were to open their border and allow trade with some of these other countries. Yeah?
Okay, all right, thank you.
All right. So those two there, and what I'd like you to do is to take a couple of seconds and explain the difference between them. There you go. All right, well done. Look. Ooh, good. All right, well done. All right. Now, ladies and gentlebeans, there is a solution to the problem of trade diversion. And here it is, right? The idea being that if trade diversion is a problem, that maybe you can get multilateral agreements as opposed to the trading blocks. So say, for example, the trading agreements that the WTO have been working on that are multilateral, which means many different countries involved. So that way you're able to potentially allow for the lower cost producers to be in the trading agreement as well as the higher cost. All right. However, this is the suggestion then, taking that to one side, you might suggest that trade diversion actually only occurs in the short run. All right, so if it only occurs in the short run, and in the long run it's not going to be a problem, because in the long run, as we know, we've got greater access to resources and various other things. Maybe we can expect improvements in productivity in the long run. We can expect improvements in economies of scale and efficiency in the long run. So therefore, is it an actual problem in and of itself? Right? Or do we just wait and let it sort itself out? Okay. So what we've done is we have now proposed an evaluation to the idea of trade diversion. So a possible solution, and then also an evaluative comment to trade diversion as a possible problem, which means that you've now got effectively an 8-mark question or 8-mark answer that you can use. And the best way to approach that also is to then use real-life examples. So the WTO is in there as well. And if you've got real-life multilateral trading agreements, then that would be a good one to discuss too. Okay? So that's where this goes. Definition, application, right, and evaluation is what you're looking at. So it's a shorter version of your 15 marker. Are we okay with that?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, go away. All right, here we go. All right, now I don't know that I've shown you this particular graphic, or if you've already seen this particular graphic. It's a little bit old because this is from 2010. So yes, there are changes that have occurred. But these are real life case studies of trading blocks, trading agreements that there are around the world. And as you see, some you will know, like ASEAN, you'll know APEC, but you may not know the EAC. You probably know the CIS, but you may not have known SAPTA. You may have never heard of the Arab League, but you might have heard of the African Union, which is the one that's becoming quite big and quite prominent now in Africa. It's most of Africa, not all of Africa yet. You've probably heard of NAFTA, or as it's now called, USMCA, but you may have never heard of CAFTA, or CAPRICOM, or Mercosur. Right? So those are all potential case studies, therefore, that could crop up. I mean, if they do, they will usually have some form of explainer as to where they are and what they are. But, you know, just so that you've got a general idea, and there are more than this. There are a number more, and as said, some of them have changed. For example, they haven't included, I use the cursor here, they haven't got the Australia-New Zealand Closer Economic Trading Relationship, or ANZCERTA, or ANZERTA. Right, that's not there. Right, so there are others. This one is the big one, APEC, because it's basically all of Asia and all of the Pacific. So that's, you know, quite a big group. And that also now includes North America, is now in APEC. So if you add up all of those people, that's a lot of people. And this is why the EU was potentially going to be quite a significant body, because if you add that to the Eurasian Economic Community, that becomes an enormous trading bloc there. And if Russia was then to join, that whole top of the world would be an immense trading bloc. Right? African Union unifying all of Africa. So you can see why, because a lot of these have been around a long time. I mean, it was the European Economic Community in the 1970s. So this has been in progress for a very, very long time. And I remember at university, as I've said to you before, I believe, that this is what we thought the world was going to be. It was going to be trading blocks. Okay? And you just couldn't get into the trading bloc unless you were a member, you know, and we thought that there would potentially be a United States of Europe. That's what we thought, the way the world was going. And now that we've got the current situation that we're in, maybe that's what will happen now. Because maybe we're moving away from globalization, of the breaking down of the borders and the free movement of trade all around the world. Maybe we're now moving back to a more regionalized trading bloc world. Okay? Now, the thing would be is if you were given a case study, it might be, you know, the USMCA potentially. It might be the EU. That's very topical. You could imagine the African Union. The African Union would be a really good one if you were also doing economic development, because there's quite a big connection there. All right. I don't know whether they would include ASEAN or APEC within that as a case study. Now, there are, in the slides which you have available to you on the site, there are some videos that are an attempt to explain what Brexit is. And yeah, there's a lot to unpack with that. Brexit as a whole is going to cause some enormous problems, and it is a very complicated process. It sounds very straightforward. We're just going to leave the EU. But it's actually very, very complicated. So what I did was I found an article, this is an old article here from the EU about long-term effects of Brexit, obviously those two videos there, and this one here, which is what the steps were that they took in order to leave. Okay. To give you a bit of a breakdown, and then what happens about the vote, there's a bit of a breakdown there. Now, I've also got this, which is a video. Now, I'm not sure whether, I don't think it's, it's not necessarily worth me going through this with you, but it might be worth you having this for yourself, all right? So what I could do is hit all devices, and now in theory, this video should appear on your screen. Do you see this video now on your screens?
Yep.
Yeah. Now, it's 14 minutes long, and there's quite a bit involved with it. And I've put some interactive points within with questions. All right. And the next part of this is for you to think about the idea of Brexit, because it's very topical. So there is a chance that they could ask you about it, because in a sense, it's the opposite of integration. The classic question years ago was about Turkey joining the EU, right? That was a classic question from years ago. Now, the classic questions are going to be the UK leaving the EU. You would expect that to become a classic question moving forward. I obviously can't predict that, but it would make sense, all right? So having some thought about what the EU actually is, why Britain might want to leave, what are the arguments for leaving, what are the arguments for not leaving, potentially, what are the actual possible implications. If they leave, what would that mean? All right. Now, I've given you control over the video. So you now have this. You can watch it at your own pace. And what I've done is I've also posted into the classroom, if I find it. That's year 10s, that's not you. All right, and hopefully, where is it? Should be here. Go back. International, there we go. All right, so it's this one here, which I'll pull up so that you see. So consider the stakeholders involved. What do you think the impact of Brexit will be on the UK, advantages and disadvantages? Now, I'm not expecting you to be a PhD level sort of candidate analyzing this. But what I'm thinking would be good, I'm going to stop sharing because it's now starting to annoy me, right? What I'm thinking is that that will be a useful thing for you to have. So say 10 minutes. So you do watch the video, answer the questions in the video, and then around 10 minutes, maybe 15, up to you, of just writing about Brexit, what you think the advantages are, the disadvantages. Remember, it's about impact on stakeholders. So again, it's kind of like a short version of a 15-mark question. So again, 10 minutes is probably, maybe 15, probably the most that you'd want to put into that. All right, and then you chuck that up into the cloud. Does that make sense? You know what I'm wanting?
Yes.
All right. So what then I'm going to do is I will turn off the meet, leave you to watch the video, leave you to do the answering of the Brexit impact. And if you have questions, you can always flick me an email. Okay? And also it gives you a bit of a mental break from staring at the screen all day. Okay. All right. Have a fantastic day. He kōnera. And we'll see you another day. Tomorrow, in fact, I think.
Thank you, Mr. David.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
See you.